How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a wrestling game. It's actually the second World Wrestling Federation title released for the NES. This one, unlike its predecessor, was published by LJN, which was a subsidiary of Acclaim, and it was developed by the folks at Rare. And I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that this was the last of the WWF titles to be developed by Rare. It's from 1990, and this one's pretty cool because it's definitely a gameplay improvement over its predecessor. Now, for some reason, the label on this one's upside down. I guess I'm thinking the resellers did this. I don't know. But today's game is WWF Wrestlemania Challenge. Okay, so in Wrestlemania Challenge, you can pick out of a roster of wrestlers, a roster of actually well-known wrestlers from that time frame. Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Macho King Randy Savage, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Ravishing Rick Rude, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Big Boss Man, Andre the Giant, and a generic character that the player can pick called Yourself. In two-player games, if both players pick Yourself, there's a different shaded version of that character that comes out for the second player. Now, each character has his own moveset. Now, the moveset isn't a really big moveset, but each one has its own moveset. And each character has its own finisher. Except for Yourself. The Yourself character has a drop kick as a finisher, as a special attack. Andre the Giant does a choke. Hacksaw Jim Duggan does his 3-point stance clothesline. Rick Rude does his neck breaker, the Rude Awakening. Brutus Beefcake does a sleeper hold. Randy Savage, an elbow. Hulk Hogan, leg drop. And I want to say the Ultimate Warrior does the Gorilla Press. I'm not completely sure. I don't remember exactly, but as far as gameplay, this one is leaps and bounds ahead of the first WrestleMania title released on NES. That game was terrible. Not to say that this one is utterly phenomenal. I mean, it's still way behind Pro Wrestling and Tecmo World Wrestling as far as quality wrestling titles on the NES. But it's a solid wrestling game. Like I said, your characters your characters all have their own movesets, even though those movesets aren't as expansive as, say, Tecmo World Wrestling. It's a lot less complicated than Tecmo World Wrestling. And as far as play modes and things like that, there's a lot of bells and whistles in this game. As far as there's a one-player tournament mode. You can play two players competitively in singles matches, 2-player tag team matches, 2 players versus the computer, 2 players versus each other, things like that. So there's a lot in this game to play around with. Also, each character has his own theme music, which, including the Yourself character, if both players pick Yourself as the character, they each have their own entrance music, so that's pretty cool. Rare really threw a lot into this game, and it's sad that after this title, Sculptured Software kind of took over, and you can kind of see a decline in the quality of the games, especially the NES titles. Now, the Super NES games were okay, but the later NES titles were pretty rough. Steel Cage Challenge was not a very good title on the NES. But you know, to each his own. If you're a fan of old wrestling games, you should probably look up a copy of WrestleMania Challenge, yo. It's that good. It's actually a pretty good third wrestling title to have in your collection, outside of pro wrestling and of course Tecmo World Wrestling. This one has probably the best tag team mode in a wrestling game on the NES. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow.